at the end of the first quarter.
28-0 in the first quarter. You can't
At the end of the first quarter, yeah, 28-0.
All right, we should be able to have an easy daf. Let me tell you, tonight's daf is a whole lot more interesting than that. That much I can tell.
No excuse. Can't say you're into the game. Exactly. No excuse.
This is a geschmack daf, by the way.
Yes, this is. Stand by. Where's Simon? He's supposed to be on tonight.
Tiago, you're going to get us thrown off Zoom if you say that again. Stand back and stand by.
Hey.
Okay.
What, the new president? We have to have a new time? What's going on?
I tell you, based on what's going on with Telegram, the Jews definitely have something to hide. They're the only ones downloading Telegram. I don't get it.
What is Telegram? I didn't even know there were.
People love to think that there's somebody trying to spy on their conversation. No one's trying to spy on nobody's conversation.
Yeah, no one cares.
Nobody cares how many types of herring you're not having a kid in.
Wink, wink.
They're also putting nanoparticles in the vaccine, and they're going to trace you.
Oh yeah, obviously I think that.
Oh. Okay. All right. You ready to roll?
Oh, if we could have in mind Tehila Bas Chaya Sarah, Rebbitzin Yeager.
Okay.
What's with her?
She tested positive.
Uh-huh. All right. Well, before Shalema.
Is she not feeling well, or she just tested positive? Because there's 1,000 people.
She's got some symptoms.
Isn't the new thing Signal?
Signal, Telegram.
Signal is for Twitter. Signal's for Twitter.
Oh, really? You know too much.
Signal's like WhatsApp.
Yes,
No.
exactly. I just signed up for it. It is. What do you mean, no, it is.
Oh, it's WhatsApp? So what's the thing instead of Twitter? I don't know.
You want to hear, since we're going to be talking about, since Tyler mentioned it.
Parlor is the one set in front of Twitter.
No, Parlor's instead of Facebook.
Yeah,
This is very thrilling.
This is all so stupid.
I'm glad we're having this year at 9 o'clock so I can hear you name all the
We were so close to starting.
50 companies.
Right.
That's
Let me
really
tell you something,
exciting.
Horowitz. It didn't look like
Very
you're starting
exciting for
nothing.
me.
Okay?
Very exciting for me.
Since tonight's
You want to argue with Gershon?
I could have stayed and banged my head into the wall for 10 minutes.
You can still do that and come back.
You know, you can still do that. I'll get off. You do that, okay?
Okay. Unbelievable.
Listen, since tonight's Amud Beis is all about Parnasa, and since he brought up this Signal thing, I never heard of it, but I was looking on CNBC, and this because they tweeted out about people should start using Signal, so some idiot who has a company, he's the only employee of the company from Texas, and his company is called Signal. His stock went up 600% because people think they're buying his stock. It's a penny stock. And the
Elon Musk is the one who tweeted it,
yeah,
by the way.
So this guy's stock, check it out. I don't know, it's over-the-counter pink slips. There's one employee. And his stock went from like 40 cents to like $7 in 2 days. So if you
you mean pink sheets? Pink sheets, talking about, right?
Sheets. Not pink slips, pink sheets. Yeah, that means if you don't think Parnas is from Hashem, all right, Parnas is from Hashem. Right? I hope this guy has enough savings to sell some shares. Whatever. Anyways, okay, we're at the 2 dots in the bottom of Mem Tesam Beis. Yeah. So just the chaza from yesterday. Quickly. So yesterday's daf was Mem Tes, right? Machlokes how to get rid of your chametz on erev pesach falls on Shabbos. And then we ended up saying the Gemara seems to say you get rid of the chametz on Shabbos. And then there's a Mishna what to do if you forgot to burn your chametz and you left the house. It's totally if you left the house for a mitzvah or for a chiyuv or just for optional. For you optionally. Then what the measurements are, which we're going to get to tonight. Then we had a machlokes whether an engagement party like Sudas Eris, and it's not really an engagement party, is considered a Sudas mitzvah or not. And then we said Talmid Chacham shouldn't partake in any sudas other than a sudas mitzvah, which we didn't understand exactly what that meant, and whether it's a good thing for Yisrael to marry a kohen or not. Bad things happen to Talmid Chacham who eat a lot of food, and then a person should sell everything to marry. They'll order the pecking order of who to marry, right? And then all the negative gemoras of between what we're supposed to do to Amaratzim, kill them. And then the worst is somebody who learned and then went off the derech. Yeah, so that brings us to tonight's daf. Mem test some base, 2 dots, 3, 6, 7 lines up. The Memra, I'm sorry, v'chein misha yatsa. Right, so we said that if somebody left Yerushalayim and he ended up with kodshim on him, so depending on how he went past Har HaTzofim, then he doesn't have to go back to burn it, but otherwise he has to go back. And we said, what's the measurement of meat? So we had 3-way machlokes. Either it's kezayis for chametz, kezayis for meat, a kebeya for both, or kezayis for chametz and a kebeya for meat. So Gemara says, L'meimra, the Rameir Savar, Kebeitu the Chashiv, Rav Yehuda Savar Kezayis Nami Chashiv. Do you mean to say that Rameir is the one that says a kebeya is considerable, and Rav Yehuda says it's a kezayis? Or Ramin, I'll ask you, Kasha Ad Kamahin Mizamnum, Toma, how much do you have to eat in order to make a mizumin? Right, when 3 people eating together, you want to make a mizumin. So how much do you have to eat? Ad kezayis. Rav Yehuda Aimer Ad kebeya. So Rameir is always Stam Mishna's Rameir. So you say Ad Kazayis, and Review says Ad Kabeya. So you see the opinions are switched. So here we go, Peretz's favorite Teretz. Just swap them. Swap the shitas. Right? You have a steer in the shitas, just change them around, and then you're fine. That's Rav Yochanan's Teretz. Avaya Amar Loilam Loi Tepuch. Don't switch them. Hasam Bekroi Pligi, Hacha Besvara Pligi. There, by Birchas Hamazon, it's a machlokes, and how to darshan the passuk. Here it's a svara. Hasam Bekroi Pligi. There by Birchas Hamazon, it's a disagreement over a passuk. Rameir Savar V'chalta Zu Achila, V'Savata Zu Shasiya. Eating is achila, and savata, satisfaction, means to drink. V'achila b'kezayis, and achila we know always means a kezayis. Rabbi Yehuda Savar V'chalta V'Savata Achila. Achalta V'Savata means achila. I'm sorry, achila sheyesh basvia. That means you have to eat something that you're satisfied. Ve'ezu, and how much is it to be satisfied? B'kebeya, right? So a kezayis is considered eating, but it's not going to satisfy you. A kebeya will satisfy you. So that's why that's the machlokes over there by Birchas Hamazon. Just parenthetically, we paskin l'maisa that the chiyuv d'oraisa is only if you're full. That's the only time you mechuyev d'oraisa to say Birchas Hamazon. Well, l'maisa we say that a kezayis kedei chilas pras is midirabanon, but you have to be full in order for it to be a d'oraisa. There's also a shita that we don't paskin like. I think it's the Ureim, who says if you don't drink, you're not chayav in Birchas Hamazon. So therefore, I think the Mishnah Brura is the one that says when you eat a suda, then you should make sure to drink, because otherwise, according to Ureim, you're not chayav in Birchas Hamazon. Right?
Not bourbon, I hope.
Anything. It doesn't make a difference what you drink. As long as
No,
you
like
drink.
water? Any drink.
Any drink. If you don't drink during the meal, then you're not mechuyev midaraisa.
I thought you're not supposed to drink during the meal, aren't you?
No, but it doesn't have to be right. So the Rambam says not to drink during the meal, but you could drink after you're done eating, just before Birchas Hamazon. So
then you do drinking.
Yeah, I mean nowadays obviously the minhag is to drink during the meal, right? And on this stuff, a lot of people are drinking before, during, and after the meal, right? And before, during, and after davening too, as a matter of fact, because they think maybe to be yotze tefillah deraisa, you got to drink, okay? Right? They're machmer, but yeah.
But so benching really is totally on you. There's no shear. I could say I'm full. I could say I'm not full and not bench.
Well, midaraisa, midarabanan. Once you
midaraisa.
Yeah. No, but it comes up if you forget to bench. Do you say Birchas Hamazon again? So if it's a deraisa, it's a suffix deraisa, you got to bench again. If you for sure weren't full, then it's a suffix derabanan. Right? That's based on this Gemara. So okay. So let's see. So that's why that's what the machlokes is based on with the mazumin. Hacha b'svara, but here by going back for chametz and going back to burn the meat, that's a svara b'svara pligi. They're arguing with the svara. The Rameir savar chazarasa kitumasa. Going back is just the same way it became tamei. That's how we learn how you have to go back. Just like we learned this many times. In order for something to become tamei, it has to have an egg's worth of food. Meaning, if you touch just a kernel of something, that's not going to become tamei because it doesn't have an egg's worth. So just like food can't become tamei unless it has an egg. So too going back to the Beis Hamikdash to burn it is only if there's enough that would make it tameh. But if you no, he says no, it has nothing to do with tumah. It has to do with how it became asur. Ma isura because ayis, meaning with chametz. Ma isura because ayis, am chazaros because ayis. Just like it became asur through a kizayis, meaning less than a kizayis chametz, you're not mechuyev to burn. So too going back, you don't have to go back for anything less than a kizayis, but less than a kibay you would have to as long as it's more than a kizayis. Tanya Ramanasa Noimer. They're both eggs, right? He says 2 eggs, not 1 egg, 2 eggs. Fine. That's the now we start with an agadata to the rest for the rest of the Perek. Yeah. Right, so this is talking about it in the future, right? So this is a passuk in Zechariah. It's talking about Gog and all the stuff that's going to happen in the future. Yeah, so it's in that day, there's going to be no light. Yikros and Kifayin. Okay, so what exactly does that mean? So my Yikros and Kifayin, Amar Rebbe Lazar Ze'ar, that's light. Sheyakar ba'olam hazeh, which is considered chashuv in this world, v'kafil olam haba, and it's worthless in the next world. Right, which Rashi says that you need light in this world. That's the most important thing to have. Not the most important. Yeah, I guess it is. If you have no light, you have a very hard time functioning. So too. So in the next world, though, you don't really need light. This is referring to the subjects of tzaras and tumas oil. That they're very heavy in this world, meaning they're very complicated mesechtas. But they're going to be easy in the next world, because once you're in the next world, there's much more clarity. And that's people that in this world are very chashuv, and in the next world they're not so chashuv, right? And then this is the famous Gemara. He was weak, this nagid, and Rashi says he died, and then his neshama went up. So then he came back to life. Yeah, Amar Le'avu, so he had an out-of-body experience. So Ki Hadar Amar Le'avu, his father said to him, my chazis, what do you see over there? Amar Le, Alam Hafach Risi, I saw the opposite world. El Yoinim Lamata, V'tachtainim Lamala. The ones that are, the El Yoinim here are on the bottom over there in the next world, and the ones that are on the bottom here are the top over there. Yes, Amar Le, B'ni, Alam Barori, so you saw a clear world. And what are we over there? So the same way we're over here is the same way we're over there. The Talmidei Chachamim are respected in this world, they're also respected and in the next world. And I heard them say, Perek, song of the Daf. Yeah, right, Ashrei, for somebody who comes to here and his Talmud is in his hand, Shamati Shayu Amrim, Harugima. Okay, 1 second. So that's so you see that's Olam Hafach, right? It's a very famous Gemara. My father's one of bracha, he was fond of saying over from the stipler that people think it's just the schar, right? That's the schar is going to be more in the next world. You have somebody who only learns a half hour a day, or whatever it is, or is not so chashuv because he doesn't have the opportunity to be wealthy, etc., etc. And in the next world he becomes more chashuv. But the stipler said when it comes to learning, you're even considered. You actually get the schar that you would have. Meaning, if you learn a Daf Yomi every night for a half hour, an hour, whatever it is, and theoretically, if you had the opportunity and you don't have to go to work, you'd have learned all day. So then you get the schar, but not just the schar. You actually get the Torah knowledge in the next world as if you learned all day, right? And if you're the opposite, where you have the schus to sit and learn all day, and you waste your time in this world, then it's going to be deducted from your actual knowledge in the next world. It's not just a reward and punishment thing. It's an actual knowledge thing. That's the way the stipler understood this Gemara. There's a lot of other ways to say pshat. Okay, whatever it is, yeah, fighter. So then he says, "V'shamati," 3 lines down. V'shamati show you Imrim And then he said, I also heard them say, Haruge Malchus ain't adam yachalam mechitzas. And anybody that gets killed by the government, nobody could stand in their mechitza, anywhere near them. Umaninu, and who is that? If it's Rebbe Kiva or Asaruge Malchus, that's the only reason that they're getting schar is because they were Haruge Malchus. El Haruge Lud. It's referring to the Haruge Lud. Yeah, so Rashi says Haruge Lud was two brothers that they were meised themselves for Klal Yisrael, meaning somebody killed the king's daughter, and they blamed the Yidden. So they said if somebody steps forward, then the Yidden they're gonna kill out all the Yidden. So two brothers, Rashi says, stepped forward and took the blame and got killed. So that's what it's referring to. Now, la halacha, were they allowed to do that? Not allowed to do that. That's a whole tumult. What the story was with that. I mean, obviously they were allowed to do that based on this Gemara, but it's really not simple.
Yaakov.
Yeah.
I saw recently, I don't know, remember where, but Reb Aaron Belzer, he never said Yiska for people who were killed in the Milchama. He says they don't need my tefillahs. They're already someplace so high, they don't need me to say tefillahs for them. It's not my place to say tefillahs for them.
Wow, I never heard that, but now that you say it, it makes a lot of sense. No, certainly from this Gemara. Yeah. So that's a fakir from the Sidurim, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Most of us are not Reb Aaron Belzer. I mean,
that's true. That is true. Yeah. Yeah, but if he wasn't on the level to say them, then we're certainly not on the level, right? Okay, fine. Bayaymahu. Yeah, al mitzlos hasus kaidos Hashem. Right, there's going to be on that day. There's going to be this mitzlos on the sus. That's kaidos Hashem. So my mitzlos hasus. What exactly is mitzlos hasus? Hakadosh Baruch is going to add on to Yerushalayim, meaning Yerushalayim is going to grow. The amount of time that it would take a horse to run until Chatzos. Whatever amount that is, that's how Yerushalayim is going to get stretched. Any of the jewelry, the people used to hang jewelry on the horses, right? So whatever they put between their eyes, they're going to actually donate to the Beis Hamikdash. That's a second shot. Any of the spoils that Klal Yisrael is going to get, which is meaning from the time that the sus runs, right, and then it has the shade until Chatzos, like we said, Yekadosh Hashem, then it's also going to be Kadosh to Hashem. So, the first shot is that it's talking about how much Yerushalayim is going to be expanded, and then the next two are talking about that they're going to give extra money to the Beis Hamikdash. Now the Gemara is going to ask, so according to the shittas that say it's when they're giving donations to the Beis Hamikdash, right? So it's going to be like the bowls in front of the mizbeach. So then it makes sense because they're going to be a lot of donations. But according to the mandamer that says of these other two pshatim, yeah, that it's from the horses, and meaning from the horses, it's not such great donations. I mean, how much jewelry can you have on a horse already, right? That's one, and the other one that Yerushalayim is being expanded. How does it fit into that passuk? Vaya hasiros bebeis Hashem. How are you understanding that passuk? So Milsa Achri, no, it's saying something else, something different. The Ma'asr Yisrael must not be a Maisi. Klal Yisrael is going to become Ashirim, wealthy, and they're going to donate a lot to the Beis Hamikdash. So now Bishlam Madamar Biza. So according to Madamar, it says that it's Biza with the spoils. Hanu to Sivaloi Kanani Oid Beis Hashem Tzvakos. So there's going to be no more Kananim, right? So you don't have to do any more business. Then according to the other two, what does it mean? No, there's going to be no more business. Of course, you're going to need business. Ein kan oni, right? Kanani doesn't mean Kanani, means there is no more. There are going to be no more aniyim here. Here, obviously, we're not teaching Kanani as the nation Kananim. We're teaching Kanani as what do you call it? Business guy. Tichsev Vayar Sham Yehuda Bas Ish Kanani, and Yehuda saw a daughter from Kanani, and he married her. My Kanani. What does it mean Kanani? You can name a Kanani mamash if it means somebody from a girl from the Canaanim. After Avram v'haz visitors Yitzchak, Yitzchak visitors Yaakov, Yehuda, Azul v'Nasiv. Right. So could it be that Avram told Yitzchak not to marry one, Yitzchak warned Yaakov not to marry, and then Yehuda is going to go and marry? Elam Rav Shimon Lakish. Bas Gavra Tagra, no, it means the daughter of a businessman, right? Dichsev Canaan b'yadai ma'aznei mirma. Canaan was in it. Canaan was in his hand, but doesn't mean obviously here means business, a businessman. It doesn't mean the nation Canaan, right? Ma'aznei mirma with my as a, how do you call it? A scale that's how do you call it? It's crooked. It's a crooked scale, meaning he cooked the books, and the scale is off. Okay, who's the people? The businessmen were sarim, were officers, are merchants, and nichbedei aretz, the most chashuv in the land. I don't really understand this because Lamaisa, most of the shvatim did marry Canaanim, right? Doesn't that Yaakov, what something with Yosef, right? He said that most of the shvatim ended up marrying. Am I wrong with that?
Didn't they
Married their twin sisters?
I thought they married their sisters.
The Medrash said they married their sisters.
Except for Yosef. Yosef married Dina's daughter.
Right, but in there was Yaakov with the brachas or something. Didn't want to give to someone. I don't remember. It's certainly a Rashi that talks about it, that they married Canaanim. I thought so, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It's already 2 weeks ago, so it's long gone. Yeah. Okay. Now we darshan some very basic pasukim that we say every day. Vaya למלך כל הארץ, ביום יהיה השם אחד ושמו אחד. Another nig in there, Perek. Right? So Hashem will. Okay, we don't have to go through the whole taich, right? I'm assuming everybody knows that a taich is. But the thing is, it sounds like it's going to be in the future. What about now? Is he not one now? This world is not like the next world. Yeah? You make a taiva meitiv, right? On something that good that happens. In Olam Haba, everything is good. There's no such thing as bad. U'shmai echad, my echad, atuid the lav shmai echad, who is only in the future. His name is going to be echad and not now. Some of them Yitzchak like Olam Hazeh Olam Haba. Olam Hazeh nichta b'yud k v'nikra b'alef dalet. Right? Hashem's name is spelled one way, and we pronounce it with alef dalet. Aval Olam Haba kulei echad nikra b'yud k v'nechta b'yud k. So we're going to pronounce Hashem's name the way it's meant to be pronounced, not the way we pronounce it in this world. Sava Rava, the Midrash of Perek, Rava wanted to darshan this in a shir. He wanted to explain all the hidden meanings behind Hashem's name. It's written la'olam. In the passuk zeshmi la'olam zeh zichri l'dar. It doesn't say the olam with a vav. It says it without a vav. So therefore, with darshaning, I'm sorry, I said la'alam, it means la'alim, to keep it hidden. So it's not meant to be darshaned. Rav Avina, Rami ksiv zeshmi la'alam zeh zichri l'dar. It says this is my name forever, and this is my remembrance from one door to another door. Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, lo kashin nechtav ani nikra. Not the way I'm written should I be called. Nechtav ani b'yud kei, v'nikra ani ba'alef talit. So I'm called with yud kei, but I'm written with yud kei, but I'm called with aleph talit. Okay, hadron aloch elu oivrin. Okay, so now this next perek, this next couple of blot, so it has a lot. It can be potentially the hard. The Gemara is not difficult. It's just lemaisa to come out. When we start with the word minhag, okay, once you start with the word minhag, you're opening a can of worms at the minimum, right? Because you have all sorts of minhagim. Nobody knows where they come from, what they do. Do you have to keep them? Do you not have to keep them? Do you have to keep your parents' minhag? Do you not have to keep your parents' minhag? all these things. So those are the sugyas for the next couple of blocks. We're going to try and get some sort of clarity on them, but it's not going to be easy. Okay, so Zok the Mishnah. If there's a minhag not to do malacha on erev pesach until chatzos, then you do it. But if it's the minhag not to do malacha, then you don't do malacha. Meaning, what's with after chatzos and erev pesach? As we know, after chatzos and erev pesach is also minhag to do malacha. It's the only Yom Tov. I get this question every erev Yom Tov. Right? Can I shave on erev shvuos after chatzos or erev sukkos or erev Rosh Hashanah? Right? The answer is 100% yes. It's only on, okay, I'll be Kabbalah say not to, but it's only Pesach that has the issue, right? Because of you're supposed to be Isaac in the covering Pesach. So Mamela, after Chatzos, it's awesome in Adin. Before Chatzos, it's totally in the minhag. Some places had a minhag to not do malach, and some places didn't. Right? Fine. Oh, so now this is where it gets into the practical, gets very difficult with minhagim. If you go from a place that did malacha to a place that didn't do, or to go from a place that they don't do malacha to a place that they do malacha, you have to take the minhagim of the place that you left, and you have to take the minhagim l'chumra of the place that you went to. Meaning, so either way, you're stuck. You're stuck not doing malacha. Let's say you moved from a city that they didn't do malacha to a city that they did do malacha, that they do malachas, and you have to not do malacha because you go with the chumras of the city that you left. And if you go the opposite, then you have to take the chumras of the city that you're going to, which is going to be a little bit of steer to the next line in the Mishnah, because then it says "V'aya shana adam machlokes." You can't change because of machlokes. Now, what does that mean? Right?
You have something similar like that by Mikra Megillah?
Yes, Megillah.
Yes,
Megillah
the same
also
Mishnah,
yeah. By Megillah, there's a lot of also Makom Shenago. Very good. Yeah. But the problem is that it's shtickle stira, because if you're saying to do the chumras of both places, then you're going to end up doing something different than what the town that you're in at that particular time. Yeah? Okay, we're going to have to see in the Gemara. The Gemara is going to go through that. Similarly, right, now this is Negei also. I mean, it's Shemitah this coming year. Bez Hashem is Shemitah. So we get a lot of Hilchah Shemitah here. Yeah, similarly, Hamalech Peres shviis, Mimakom shekalu lemakom shaloi kalu, Mimakom shaloi kalu lemakom shekalu, Chay levar yimachuyev yivar. Now the way this works is that by Shemitah, it's a machlokes is showing them exactly how you have to do this. But what about fruits that grow by themselves in Shemitah? Fruits, vegetables that grow by themselves in Shemitah. So you're allowed to eat them. It's no problem. They grew by themselves. However, once they get the animals run out of food, then what you have to do is you have to get rid of it from your house. Exactly how you do that, that's a machlokes. But you have to get rid of them from your house. So what happens if you, in one area, there's still food available to the animals in the yard, and in another area it's not, and you travel from one place to the other. So what are you allowed to do? So we say it's the same halacha, right? You're going to be always, you got to go l'chumra, and you have to get rid of it. Now, the way we paskin the maisa with getting rid of it is basically you take all your fruits that you have in your house, you put it outside, you make it hefker, and then once you make it hefker, you can take it back in and use it. That's the way we paskin. Even though there are shittas that hold, no, making it hefker means you're no longer allowed to eat that food. But that's the way it goes. But either way, if you're going from one area to the next area, then you always have to go l'chumra. Fine. You should bring it yourself too. So the Gemara, Rashi says, so we're going to wait for the Gemara to do this. Excuse me, sorry. Fine, so Zok the Gemara. Now here's where the Gemara really starts getting interesting. My area, not that before wasn't interesting. Let's not forget that Gemara and erev, right? But fine. So my area, what is it saying even on erev Pesach to do malacha? Even on erev Shabbos and erev Yom Tov also the Tanya Oisa malacha ba'arvei Shabbos of Yom Tov min minchu lamala ein roya siman bracha la'olam. He's not going to see siman bracha. Oh, I just got finished saying you are allowed to do malacha. right? So that's not referring to malacha of taking, malacha means to do work, like legitimate work, yeah, shaving and all that stuff is not considered. So anyways, but it's like that on every erev Shabbos. So hasam min mincha l'malahu da asa. There it's from mincha and on. Samach l'mincha loy, but close to mincha, it's not an issue, right? So therefore that's the difference. Yeah, by meaning by erev Shabbos, you're really supposed to stop mina mincha l'mala, but samach mincha loy, and hacha by Pesach it's mechatzois, it's dafka from chatzois, right? None of this hacha b'chatzois, yeah, it's from chatzois. That's the first pshat. Inami hasam simin bracha hu deloy chazi. There you're not going to see a simin bracha. We're not going to put him into chayrim. Hacha, but here by Pesach, shmusei nami mishamsinile, you're going to put the person into chayrim, right? Meaning, the Mishnah doesn't say you're going into chayrim if you do malach and erev Pesach, but that's what the Gemara is saying, right? That you're going to go into chayrim and you're not going to see simin bracha. Yeah. So then the Gemara says, "Gufa ha'oisa malach ba'arba Shabbos ba'arba yom tovim min aminchu lamala u'matzei Shabbos u'matzei Yom Tif u'matzei Yom Kippurim v'chol makom she'yeshem nidnu d'avera." Anytime there's some short shemetz of an avera, lasuya tainus tzibur, like the legit tainus tzibur when there was big tzaros, ein araya simin bracha lo'olam is not going to see simin bracha lo'olam, right? Now, you know anybody that doesn't do malacha matzei Shabbos? Yeah. I mean, that's what it says, right? That's what it says, right?
The Amshin of a Rebbe, probably, no?
Well, that's his Matzah Shabbos is really Shabbos. We're talking about people who.
I tried to get out of doing the dishes, but it didn't go over well.
Here, Parrots. It's a nice try. It's a nice try, but there are those that do keep this. Again, malacha doesn't mean that you can't turn on the lights. It means to do avodah, to do stuff for parnas or whatever it is. So all those guys that check their accounts right after Shabbos and erev Shabbos, I don't know, checking accounts is also not an issue, right? Okay, whatever it is, you're not going to see siman bracha. The part that I find very interesting is that when people ask for heterim to work on chol hamoed, right? So they say, what's the main concern? I want to make sure I see bracha. It's like, how come it's not in the list here? How come Shabbos is not in the list here? Yom Tiv is not in the list. Chol hamoed is not in the list. What's in the list? Erev Yom Tiv, Matzeh Shabbos, Matzeh Yom. The reason is because it's downright usher. That's all. You don't get siman bracha. It's downright usher to do malach on Chol hamoed. Unless you have them, if you have from the heterim, then you're allowed. But people say, I just want to make sure I'm doing it right because I want to see bracha. You got much bigger issues than bracha on Chol hamoed. You have to. It's usher. It's straight usher. It doesn't say you're not going to see siman bracha if you do work on Shabbos, right? Because it's also to do work on Shabbos, right? These are only for the times that you have, the bonus times, as they say. It's only the bonus times that you won't see siman bracha. Fine. Okay, so Torah Rabbanan. Yesh zariz v'niskar, yesh zariz v'nifsad. There's such a thing as a zariz who's going to gain from it. Yeah, v'yesh zariz v'nifsad. Sometimes you have somebody who's a zar and he's going to end up losing out. Yeah, yesh shafal v'niskar. Sometimes you have a lazy thing and you gain from it. Yesh shafal v'nifsad, and sometimes you have a lazy person and they actually end up losing. So zariz v'niskar. What's a zariz and he gets schar? David kule shabbata. He works the whole week. V'loy avid b'mayli shabbata, and he doesn't work on erev Shabbos. So he's a zariz v'niskar because he's going to get schar for not working on erev Shabbos. Zariz v'nifsad. He's a zariz and he loses out. David kule shabbata. V'avid b'mayli shabbata. He works the whole week and he also works on Friday. So he's a real zariz, which would be a good thing, but he's working too much because he's working on erev Shabbos. Shval v'niskar. He's a lazy guy. He doesn't work the whole Shabbos, and he doesn't work on Friday either. So he ends up gaining. Shafal v'nifsad, he's lazy and he loses. He didn't work a whole Shabbos. When he finally gets around to working, he ends up working on a Friday, which is not a good thing. Right? So those are the four statuses. Zamarava, Hani Nashidim Mechuza. These women of Mechuza, even though they don't work on a Friday, That's mishum mafnekusahu. That's only because they're mfunokim, and they don't work even the whole week. And they don't work at all. Right? But so they're not doing any gross. All these ladies sitting in the restaurants or whatever on a Friday. So you think, oh, Givalik, you see, they don't go to work. He said, no, they do this every day. What's the big spritz that they're doing this? So no, but they're still considered shval v'niskar. They still get schar because lamaisa they're not working on a Friday. Rava Rami Ksiv Ki Gadol At Shemayim Chastecha. It says your chesed is great until the skies, to the heavens. Uksiv Ki Gadol Me Al Shemayim Chastecha. It's even more. Okay, tzad kan ba'is Leshma. One is where you're doing it Leshma, the kan ba'is and shelo Leshma. One is you're doing it shelo Leshma. Because Rabbi Yehuda, Damar Rabbi Yehuda Marav, La'olam Yaseh Gadol B'Torah Uva Mitzvahs. U'Mitzvahs Afa Pi shelo Leshma. Shemitay shelo Leshma Ba Leshma. Right, famous Gemara. You should be Isaac in Torah and mitzvahs, that even though you're doing it shelo Leshma, because you don't do it Leshma, then you're going to end up doing it. I mean, if you're doing it shelo Leshma, you're going to end up doing it Leshma. Right? So meaning better to do something shelo Leshma than to not do it at all. Right? So he says that side by Torah, side by mitzvahs. So even if you're doing Torah because of the intellectual pursuits or things like that, you should still be Isaac in the Torah and in mitzvahs. Okay, Tana Rabbanan. Here we go. This one right here. If anybody is anti-koilel, this is the Gemara for you. Yeah. Hametzape l'schar ishtoi v'rechayim. Somebody who looks for the schar of his wife, or for a rechayim, or for a mill, like a grinding mill or something like that. Ein eroy siman bracha lo'elam, will not see siman bracha. Schar ishtoi, the schar ishtoi. Miskulta, yeah. So meaning she goes to weigh things with people. Rechaya and the mill agarta, yeah. So that's to give out a mill you rent it out to people. Aval avda umzavna. But if a woman actually makes the mills, right? Ishtabuchim ishtabach, that's a good business. Kra, and the passuk praises that. Yosef sadin asasa batimkar. She makes clothing and she sells it. So meaning for them to do the actual labor, that's no good. And if somebody's looking for his wife to do that job, then he's not going to see siman bracha from that. But if she produces it and she sells it, so then it's okay. So to have an internet business, it sounds like for a woman to have internet business, it's fine. To go out into the streets and to do all these things, then that is not fine, and you're not going to see siman bracha from that. Yeah? Fine. Take whatever you want from that Gemara. Somebody who makes schar from, like Rashi says, kanim and kankanim is from reeds, and kankanim is also like those type of things. Yeah, so it means mechitzas. You're a fence builder. He's not going to see siman bracha. My time the nafish hapazrayu. Since there's a lot of when people see you carrying around these things, it looks like a lot of merchandise to build a fence. So then you're gonna have ayin hara. Again, we have a Gemara. The Gemara clearly seems to say that there is something to ayin hara. So basically, Shmuley, I don't know if when you listen to this, I don't know what you say about this, right? So you have all these fences and railings and all that. The Gemara seems to say that when people see you, they say, wow, look at that. That guy's got a lot of merchandise. And they say, oh, he's a chashuva guy. And then people put the ayin har on him, and the guy's not going to be successful. Okay? That's the pashut understanding of the Gemara. Yeah? Fine. Tana Rabbanan. Tagre Simta, people that, a Tagar is a sales guy. Simta is in the streets. People that bring up the behemoth thin animals, which is sheep and goats. And those that cut down good trees. Right? And anybody that puts their eyes on a good chelik. Right? Meaning they always when they come to split things, they always want a better portion than everybody else. They won't see a siman bracha. My timer to tobe inchi, because again, people are going to wonder about them. and there's going to be ayin hara, and therefore it's not a good thing. Okay, fine. There are 4 types of coins that you're never going to see simon bracha. Schar kaisvin, those that write things like seifrim, uschar mertugamanin, and the person who translates things, uschar yasaimim, and the schar from helping out orphans, umayis avos medina sayam, and money that comes from overseas. So bisham uschar mertugamanin. So the meturgaman, when was that? Usually on Shabbos. That's when the shir was. So he was translating. So mishum de mechzik uschar Shabbos, because it looks like he's working on Shabbos. So therefore, there's not going to be success from that. So when you're dealing with finances for Yisaimim, if you by mistake take money from them, so they're not b'nei mechila. So that also won't give you so much success. If you're making your money from overseas, a nace doesn't happen to you every day. And when things went overseas back then, that was a very high risk business because the ship sank. In my time, and what about the people that write things? Yeah, so Gershon and Elio, this is for you, right? I'm sure every cipher knows this anyways. This is probably the first lesson you get when you go to cipher school, I'm assuming, right? The Anshe Knesset Gedolah sat for 24 Tanesim, Al Kaisvei Svarim Tefillin and Mezuzahs, for people that wrote Svarim, Tefillin and Mezuzahs, Shelo Yisashu, that they should not become wealthy. Because if they would become wealthy, then they will stop writing, and nobody's going to have Sifrei Torah, Tefillin, and Mezuzahs. So therefore, they sat for 24 Tanesim to make sure that these guys never make money. I don't know why anybody would go into that business when you're going up against the Sandedrin, right? Unless you just want to make a parnasa. If you're interested in becoming wealthy.
I'm pretty sure the two cipher on the daf don't work as cipher. So
I hear. Does that mean that they're wealthy? Must be they're wealthy.
Oh, I don't know.
Tosfos actually says it doesn't mean the mom and pop, the ones that write, for individuals. It's talking about the bulk writers. That's what it's referring to, not the mom and pops. But not pshat we think that the mom and pops are going to make money, because that they didn't have to fast for. You thought that's the bailout, right? Like maybe you're going to become rich if you do the mom and pop. No, they didn't have to fast for that. They knew those guys are not becoming rich, right? So that wasn't an issue, right? Yeah, fine. So Tana Rabbanan, so those that write tefillin and mezuzah, them and the people that sell them, and those that sell them to the sellers, right? Meaning all the, as you go down the line, anybody who's Isaac in Melechas Shemayim, that includes anybody that sells tchelas, they're never going to see Siman Bracha L'Olam. Leshma, but if they're Isaac Leshma, then Ryan, then they do see. So I mean, you learn from this. What are you learning out from this? I mean, it says that l'chayra is including rabbis, Rosh Hashivas, Rebbeim. No, that's Melechas Shemayim. No, I don't know. Whatever it is. So I mean, it's a big asik. It's a big asik. Exactly how really me'ikaret, and you're not allowed to take money to learn. You're not allowed to take money. It was an ace lassus that people that weren't having any rebbeim, so that's why rebbeim are allowed to take money. Right? But if you Isaac Leshma, then you're gonna see bracha. Fine. B'nei Baishan, so that's the people of Baishan. They wouldn't travel even from Tzur to Tzidon on erev Shabbos, right? Why? Because they were afraid. Even though it was a business day, Rashi says it was a business day on Friday, and that was the day they had to do business. Because they didn't want to. They were not because they were afraid, not because they were afraid that they're going to get stuck on the road or whatever it is. They wanted to be Isaac in Shabbos. They didn't want to be Isaac in business. Also, Benayu kamed to Rabbi Yochanan, and then their kids came to Rabbi Yochanan. Amrulai avasan efshalu anan le efshalan, like exactly what normally happens. Yeah, my father, our fathers had the koyach to do this. We're not on that level, right? We can't do that. So what's the story with that? So Amalu, he said to them and this is mamish. It comes up a lot in halacha. Kfar kiblu avosechem aleim. Your fathers already were makabel on themselves. Shenemar shma b'ni musar avicha v'al titosh taras imecha. So therefore, once they were makabel on themselves, then you're stuck. You got to go with the minhag of your father, right? You got to go with the minhag of your father, and then you can't change. So the question is that taka the way it goes?
But
Right?
can't the father be mochel?
Can the father be mochel?
Say this is my minhag. This is what I started this minhag, this chumrah. Let's put it that way.
So then the question is, the best way to do it is that anybody keeps a chumrah to do it b'li neder, meaning that it shouldn't go over to the kids, the hanhaga, right? But l'maisa, if a father has a minhag, then he has to, the kids have to keep it, unless it goes against the minhag hamakom. See, what about minhag hamakom? So that means a guy comes and he has a minhag from his father. Let's say a guy comes, he has a minhag from his father not to do malach on erev pesach, and he moves to a town where the minhag is to do malach on erev pesach. So now he says, I can't go against my father's minhag. Now, where this whole thing was made much more complicated is that when everybody moved to America, I heard this from Rabbi Yisrael Reisman once, and when everybody, where's this minhag? I mean, we have this concept minhag avosechem, but normally based on the Mishnah, you go minhag hamakom. There's no such thing as minhag of fathers as opposed to minhag hamakom, right? So when we came to America, there was no minhag hamakom. So the Rabbanim decided just do whatever your father did. Hence America's is one big melting pot. But really, it should be totally in the minhag of whatever that particular place is, not based on the minhag of the father. Okay, we'll have to continue this as we go through the sugya and have this in mind.
In small towns. In
Yeah.
small towns, there are sort of minhagim that you do adapt. There's.
In small towns, I mean, it's much more difficult to go on your own. Yeah, that's true.
There's a uniformity of when they do things.
Yeah.
Well, that essentially is minhag avosenu, right? Minhag avosenu is minhag hamakom from wherever your avosenu were from.
No. Really, minhag, you see from the Mishnah.
No, it's what the norm is.
You have to go with what the city's minhag is.
No, but I'm saying, but your father was going with his city's minhag back in Europe.
That's what we did in America.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying for America, you were essentially going minhag hamakom from whatever village you were from.
True, but that's like a shasat chak for America. Really, be'etzim, things are totally in the minhag hamakom, right?
At this point, we have minhag, some amount of minhag hamakom, no? Like
now?
what we were talking about nicker or whatever, right? That's essentially a minhag hamakom in Eretz Yisrael. They're menaker. Here we're not menaker.
See, we're gonna see tomorrow's daf that Sheva al Tasa, which is what I posted in there. that wasn't a kavana, but meaning if you're a batlin, right? When somebody goes from a place that he doesn't do malacha to a place that does malacha, so when they see you not doing malacha on erev Pesach, they're not going to think, oh, this guy's going against us. He's not doing malacha. They're going to say he's a oisvarf or he's in koilos. He doesn't work anyway. So it doesn't necessarily show anything against the town. Right? So not doing nikur, I don't know if that goes against. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, whatever. It's a complicated sugya. It's a complicated sugya, and I'm limited to my access of svarim. So Mamela, whatever. We'll try and get some clarity. All right, fine.
Talking about doing a minhag toiv while saying b'li neder. I heard a Meir de Kemaisa from the Talmud of the Chafetz Chaim. I heard it from his mouth. There's a rabbi on Spruce Street in Lakewood, Rabbi Whale. His wife's grandfather was the Talmud of the Chafetz Chaim. I was there shviis one time when he spoke, and he said over his second bracha that he got from the Chafetz Chaim was when he was passing the Chafetz Chaim's room. The Chafetz Chaim was already an old man. And Chafetz Chaim saw him pass by, and he called him in. Come. What did I do? So Chafetz Chaim asked him, "Can you help me take off my gartel?" So I didn't know what was going on. Even an old man can take off a gartel. You didn't know what's going on over here. Why does he help the Chafetz Chaim take off his gartel, and then the Chafetz Chaim gave him a bracha? And he thought it was a little out of whack. He gave me this kind of bracha for helping you take off a gartel, which you could have done yourself. What's going on? He asked one of the older Talmidim, and the older Talmidim told him that the Chafetz Chaim minhag was never to wear a gartel. He's Lutzvish, he didn't wear a gartel for tefillah. So what happened? The Chafetz Chaim one time davened in a Chassidish shtibel that the minhag was to wear a gartel, and after davening, the Chafetz Chaim couldn't remember if he said b'li neder when he put it on. That from then on, the Chafetz Chaim always wore a gartel by tefillah.
Taka?
That's why it was hard for the Chafetz Chaim to take the gartel off.
It's true, by the way. The Chafetz Chaim, towards the end of his life, wore a gartel.
That's what they say.
That's what they say, but I never knew the makor for it.
Somebody wants to sell it to my uncle.
Mouth.
Yeah, Dovi's uncle almost bought it.
Somebody wants to sell it to my uncle.
Oh yeah, I know who has the gartel, so I'm wondering that they wanted to sell it. Okay.
They asked him how much you willing to pay for it. He said, I don't know. At that point, he didn't believe the Chafetz Chaim wore one, but he said, how much you buy it off me?
I never heard this version. I never heard this version of why he wore a gartel.
Who has the gartel?
I heard it personally from the Chafetz Chaim's Talmud.
Wow.
I was, yeah.
And this guy helped him take off the gartel.
Yeah, he joked about himself. He says, and when I heard that, I wasn't sure if the bracha was a bracha or a klala. What did I do?
Very interesting.
I saw Italian gartel stories. I don't know where this is. I don't remember where I read this, but it was printed somewhere that some guy went to Reb Chaim Kanievsky, and he wanted to get Reb Chaim Kanievsky's gartel. So someone told him, if you should be a chacham, buy a new gartel, and then give it to him as a matana. And the mistama, you know, once he's not going to refuse your gift, he'll give you his gartel. So he went to Reb Chaim Kanievsky, and he took out the gartel, and he said, Rebbe, I got you a present, the new gartel. So he put it on the table in front of him. Reb Chaim Kanievsky looked up from his saver and said, Shkayach. So the guy was standing there for a minute or two, and he said, like, new, whatever. I don't know. He made some comment or whatever. So Reb Chaim Kanievsky said, oh, Mistama, you gave it to me because you want my gartel. So he said, yeah. He was very excited. So he made a kinyan hagbah on the gartel, and he put it back down on the table, and he handed it to him. He said, "No,
here's my gartel."
There you go. That's you trying to outsmart Reb Chaim, huh?
Yeah. The stories of Kamenetsky when it came to weddings. Did you hear that story about what was his minhag? One
No.
wedding, he walks down with his wife, he walks down the child. And then another wedding, he walks down with the father of the groom. So somebody asked it to Rav Kamenetsky, what's your minhag? Right? One time we saw you walk down your own child with your wife, and the next time you walk down with the machatanim, you walk down the groom with the. So he said, my minhag is to do whatever the other side wants.
That's very good, Taka. Yeah, that's very good minhag. That is a good minhag. Yeah, unless your minhag is to make machlokes, then it's not a good minhag. Then it's not. That's not the right. Yeah. I hear. Very nice. Well, okay. Well, we're going to be talking a lot about minhag, so we'll have to figure it all out. Yeah. All right. Fine, everybody. Everybody should stay safe, stay sane, stay healthy. And,
Amen.
All right, so long.
Bye-bye.